It's a month since we last spoke to you, and Laurie 5 minutes ago turned on a screen so I have to look at me, and all I can see is this wrinkly neck and all the lines. I look like an elephant's trunk. I need Botox or something. It's horrible. I don't like being so old.
I swear you probably spend half of your life now saying how old you are in various
I know, but
contexts.
I don't like it, Laurie. I don't like it. When I shave in the mornings now, I have to take the mirror away so I don't have to look at myself. So I get all these cuts down my face where I miss.
That's not how you shave.
It's very difficult. Anyway, guys, welcome. Welcome. It's been a pretty interesting month, actually, since we last spoke. We've had so much going on, good and bad and scary and nice. I can't think of any nice, actually, but never mind. It's been, like everything in this place, the goalposts move every 3 seconds. I mean, you just think you've got it all level playing field, and something moves and something happens, and it's always an interesting place to be. It will keep me nimble, if not free from wrinkles. So you have an unwrinkly Laurie and a wrinkly Simon.
I don't know. I'm getting there.
Yes, but you put yourself in a nice dim studio light, and I get these glaring
That's because if I turn it off, I look about 30 years older.
I know, and there's. I mean, I know we're going to discuss later on about myths and legends, but I think one of the biggest myths and legends is: does Abby really exist? Because all we see is a Halloween type ghostly figure.
Abby's actually an actress. We have 4 or 5 different people. It's like the Stig from Top Gear. No one really knows her real identity.
I am the Stig. How dare you pretend that I'm not the Stig? I've always been the Stig and always will be the Stig. Guys,
if you
welcome.
were the Stig, they'd have crashed straight away on that.
No, they wouldn't. It would have been fine. So we've done the introduction. I'm looking at my plan. Laurie has a plan.
We do. We never follow it.
We're going to. Well, we have. We followed it so far. We're going to do quick patient updates, which I'm going to turn you over to Laurie for, because if he doesn't speak, he gets very sulky and very, very pedantic. Laurie, off you go.
So, as some of you may remember from the last time we did one of these, this one is a bit different to how we usually do one of these live streams, and we're going to be trying to concentrate a little more on the sort of the wildlife myths and legends that a few of you have sent in from the last time, so thank you to everyone who has done one of those. If you do have something that you've heard of, you've been told is true, but you're not quite sure, please leave it in the comments. We'll try and have a look at that as soon as we get through, and as always, if you do have any comments throughout the entire thing, drop it in the comments either on Facebook or on YouTube, and Abby will dig it out, whoever Abby is, and hopefully we can try and get to it. So it will just be a quick, brief run through some of the patients that have come in over the past month. It's just been hugely busy.
Laurie, just for you, I don't like the stream. I think we're going to turn the stream off. So here's the stream.
Oh, is someone saying one is cold?
One is turkey neck. I think that's referring to me. One is the video title, I thought we would see Simon in a cast. The next one is Laurie still looks young.
That's good. Then we've got 20 years shaving.
Some say Abby has the ability to jump postcodes. And Abby is a cryptid confirmed. What the hell's that? Abby is a cryptid confirmed. Yeah. There she is.
She doesn't
look.
even appear on the camera.
You can't even see her. I think.
Oh, there we go.
I think we should paint. We should paint her in translucent paint so she glows in the dark, Laurie, because we're nearly at Halloween, people. So actually, this isn't my face at all. My face is all young and unwrinkled. This is my Halloween mask, especially.
You just wear it all the time.
Especially for the Halloween season. So there we are.
We've actually had a comment from Cara already saying, is it true that you should never touch a baby bird? Now that's actually one that we're going to get onto later. That was put in by quite a few people, and there's quite a lot of research about that, which is rather interesting.
So you don't want to say anything about that now? You don't want to say anything about that? So shut up.
Just before we get into the myths and legends and the main part of this one, we've had an exceptionally busy month here, mostly with foxes. Usually when we start to get to the winter season, and I'm not going to say the Q word because we've now got a fine jar for those that say the Q word, because it usually means that as soon as you say that you end up with 40 patients coming in 20 minutes. But usually in the winter it does start to calm down a little more from the orphan season that we get over the summer. But what we've seen, I'm sure you can attest to this, Simon, over the past couple of years is it just keeps going. There's never really a down season anymore. There are slightly fewer than our absolute peak, but it never really sort of slows down to the extent that it used to. where we can actually start doing all the maintenance and redoing the pens and all of the things that we need to. I'm sure you'd agree with that one.
Well, we've got 30,000 quid's worth at least this year to refurbish in the winter when we get a quiet time. And we're not getting a quiet time. We've got the small flight we need to rebuild. That's going to be about £10,000 to £15,000.
That's Avery. That's our smaller Avery
That's
that
our
we use for
small
owls
flight.
and raptors.
You have owls. You can also have badgers in the bottom of it. We've got a badger in there at the moment who came in a long time ago. Laurie rescued that one actually, so you can tell them that in a minute. But this badger, which we've had in for some while, has finally got well and actually should have been released yesterday, and Laurie and I both forgot, which is criminal. But it will be released probably tomorrow night. So there's a badger that's got better against all the odds, really. So that's fantastic. So Laurie, what was the story of that badger?
So that badger, we rescued that one, I can't remember how, probably about a month ago now. And it was an RTA. Very kind member of the public had stopped, and it was lying in the middle of the road in a pool of blood doing absolutely nothing. Now badgers, when they are hit by a car, foxes and things like that, if they're down, usually you know that there's some issue. But badgers, if they are hit, they'll just shut down completely. So I got there and sort of poked it around, seeing how it was, and it did get up on all four legs and was moving slightly, obviously quite in pain. So we got it in a box, brought it back. Sally had a look at that and found this horrible cut on the paw pad. I'm sure we've got some photos of
Laurie's not with it. Laurie hasn't got the picture ready.
There you go. So you can see from the bottom left, it is blurred on that one because it is very, very graphic, but that wound was really deep, right into the paw pad, and understandably the poor thing wasn't particularly keen to walk on it. So that was all cleaned. It was debrided, which is the removal of the dead skin around the sides, just to give healthy tissue that can then heal. And then sutured closed. That's been with us for about a month-ish now, and that paw, as you can see from the second image on the bottom left, is doing really. That's the one. I always do this.
Left is the bad one. The right side of that is the good one, where it's all better.
So this is why you should never take directions from me, because I'll send you entirely the wrong way. But it's doing so much better now. Able to walk perfectly, eating fine, putting on a whole load of weight. Went through a phase where it would eat nothing but peanuts. But we have managed to get it out of that slightly picky phase. And it is now ready to go back to the wild. So hopefully that one can go off and won't be getting into scrapes with cars anytime soon.
Absolutely. Somebody's just said actually on the live stream that every time I lean forward to look at the camera, I'm actually leaning forward to look at the questions. And when I lean forward, the creaking, clicking noise you hear is my whole body.
I was going to say,
objecting to moving. So there we are. So that's what's going on. No, that was a nice rescue. We weren't sure it was going to make it, but it's now going back to the wild very soon, probably tomorrow night or even tonight if Laurie wants to do it. But I certainly won't. We'll see how it goes, guys. But it's a nice story. It's a nice ending to quite a lot of work, quite a lot of hard work, and with badgers as well. Every time you catch them up, there's a lot of stress. They don't like being caught up. They object to it.
So we have to whipping around and biting you as well if you're not careful.
Absolutely. Look, I should put a bandage on my poorly thumb again, shouldn't I? But no, it's all right at the moment.
It took you years to get the feeling back in that.
Oh, what, the first one? No, the first time. That took me about a year to get the feeling back. This one, it's still there. It's still a big lump on that thumb where it really hurt. If anybody wants to donate to my poorly lump, I'm trying to get it right. Look, that's sticking out and it shouldn't be. Look, there's a big lump there. I don't think it's ever going to be. I'm going to go to my grave with that lump on my thumb, Laurie.
Well, it's, as you've said, proper rescuers don't get bitten. So.
No, absolutely. I'm not a proper rescuer. Look, you can tell. Look, my wrinkly neck proves it. So, anyway, what else has been going on, right?
What else is going on? We've seen an awful lot of foxes. Most of the foxes we've seen recently actually look like this. Now, this is sarcoptic mange. There are two types of mange, but the one we see most of the time is the sarcoptic variety. This is quite an extreme case. We do have a few in that are slightly less than this, and a few in that are slightly more than this. But it's caused by a mite, the Sarcoptes scabiei mite, that actually burrows under the skin of their animal. Very, very itchy, and them trying to itch it to get it off causes all the fur loss, causes pressure sores, wounds, things like that, and it opens them up to major issues when it comes to secondary infections and things like that.
It's never really the mange that kills the fox at all. It's the secondary infections. So it scratches, those scratches get infected, and that's why foxes can die from mange. But we'll get one of those Mythbuster specials from Laurie Bray. Laurie is going to be the Mythbuster.
Oh no!
You know, it sounds like I've got a lift.
I wrote all the answers down for you.
Laurie's going to be the myth. the Mythbuster. Better than Ghostbuster, really, but Abby's the Ghostbuster and Laurie's the Mythbuster, so that works for us. That's all cool. Go on, keep going, Laurie.
More foxes. We've also seen, as several of you will have seen on YouTube and on Facebook actually, this poor fox. Now this one arrived with what we think is garden netting, tennis netting, something like that, wrapped around her neck. And as you can see, the wound is huge. It really shows the damage this sort of thing can do. And I believe it was only in there for certainly less than 12 hours. So it's immediate. The amount of damage that it can do is huge, and we did initially think we weren't going to succeed. Everything was getting really swollen, and as you can imagine, swelling around the neck can stop breathing, can stop the ability to eat. But she's doing really, really well. The wound is starting to sort of close up at the top, as you can see from that image on the right, and it is the right this time, and slowly start working its way down to the bottom. So she's making fantastic progress at the moment, and hopefully it's not going to be too long before she's looking much better and able to start regrowing that fur around her neck.
And has that video gone out yet, Laurie?
The first part of that has, yes. And for those of you wondering, she is still with us. That sort of thing. He. I always get this wrong as well. It's a he.
Laurie's never been very good at sex, guys. He always gets in a bit of a muddle when it comes to sex, so we won't. Let's not go there, actually.
Let's not go there.
We get banned from YouTube. Yeah, disaster. Somebody's just said they want to see us on every 2 weeks, Laurie.
Oh, that's up to you. That's up to you. You made the call last time.
Everybody said, a lot of people say they don't want us on at all, so we're probably going to come off air soon because nobody wants us. Nobody loves us anymore.
I'm still amazed every week that people want to tune in to listen to what is effectively you and me having an argument for an hour. Yeah.
It's like that all the time. I mean, every day of the week's like that. And when he's not here, I ring him up and have an argument just because I need it to keep me going.
Suzanne's just said on YouTube, hydrocolloid dressings are a godsend. They really, really are. It's something that we use an awful lot of at the moment. They are really, really good for keeping a wound moist and helping with the granulation process, which is the sort of the formation of new tissues that enables healing.
And they're incredibly expensive, Laurie. Really incredibly. So if anybody wants to help,
some of the big ones can be £40 or £50 just per dressing.
Yeah. So to be honest, people do buy us hydrocolloid dressings from Amazon and other places.
Which we're very, very grateful for.
To be honest, if you want me to be honest and cynical, which of course I always am, if we were to get the money for those from people, we can actually go direct to the manufacturer and buy those dressings about 25% of the price you pay on Amazon. So always think about that. I know people buy us food, we're very grateful for it and generous, but we can buy in bulk, we can buy in quantity, and for everything you buy, we can probably buy at least, most of the time, double that quantity by using your donation in cash, which allows us to do that. So just a thought for the future, because I'm always thinking about the financials, Laurie. It's all about the money for me. I'm old and I want to keep this charity alive.
The last fox that we'll get onto before we jump back into the myth side of things, this one was unfortunately another case of something we see all the time, and that is barbed wire. So I was called out to this one about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that, by London Fire Brigade, who had been called out to this fox. Amazingly, they'd actually managed to get her. I'm not entirely sure, I can't remember and I'm now worried. This fox, they'd managed to get it down to the ground and were sort of pinning it down, and that little bit of barbed wire that you see in the top left was actually tangled around in the fur. So we had to get there and dismantle that, take it all apart and just gently pull everything out. We did check to make sure it wasn't in any major blood vessels or anything that would have caused bleeding that we'd then need to deal with on scene. But usually if you leave things like that in, the stress of taking them back and the movement of the car can cause a little more damage. So if it is safe to do so, it is always better to try and take that one out. So it arrived with a few smaller wounds, which were glued closed. Unfortunately, the nature of barbed wire means infection is a huge risk on that one, and the wounds have got slightly bigger on that one and have broken down slightly. But Tim and Sally did a surgery, I believe yesterday, where all of that was debrided and sutured back up, and she is now doing a lot better. She's incredibly feisty. She's really scared of anyone. You walk anywhere near her and she'll be jumping up the walls. But we're doing our very best for her, and hopefully we will get her back to the wild before too long.
And I think back in time for Christmas, Laurie. She'll have a Christmas pudding in the wild.
And I think on that, I just want to say a quick thank you to those of you who have donated on YouTube via the Super Chat. That is very, very kind of you. So Karen's donated 30 Canadian dollars. Thank you very much, Karen. Joe has donated 20 euros and has put, you guys are amazing. That is amazing. Thank you very, very much. And as always, we say this, we could not do it without your support. So thank you for that one. And Emma has donated 50 Swedish krona and has put, keep up the good work. Again, thank you so, so much. You're all very, very kind. And with that, we'll move on to the first of our wildlife myths. Now, we'd quite like to ask you what you think about these ones as well. So the first one, a slightly weird one. I didn't know that this was a myth until today, but Abby assures me that it's actually quite a common one. And that's conkers stop spiders coming into your house. So if you hang up conkers in your house, they'll stop spiders coming in. Do you guys think that is a true thing or a complete myth?
You have 30 seconds, guys, to say true or false, and then Laurie and I will give you the answer that we think it is. We're not saying we're right. It comes with an E and OE, errors and omissions accepted, because that's what we like here at Wildlife Aid. But yeah, give us your opinion. Do conkers achieve a lack of spiders?
We've had one in, myth, absolute myth on that one.
Okay.
Diane said false. Suzanne, codswallop. That is such a wonderful word. I
love
codswallop.
Good word.
FB, myth. Nightly moth, a myth. Ruth, no. Cheryl, false. You're all completely and utterly correct. It is entirely false. It is a bit of an old wives' tale, that one, but there is no scientific evidence at all to prove that that is the case. There was a thought that there was a chemical in there that they didn't like, but no one's been able to prove that, and every study that's tried to go into that unfortunately has found the complete opposite. So that one is a myth on that one.
So the only way that you can stop spiders going to your house is hanging up a pair of Laurie's old underpants. Hang them up at the back door and no spiders will come through the door ever again. Laurie was so keen about doing this myth thing. I'm just going to have such fun with it, guys. This is going to be hilarious all the way through. Yeah, it's going to be abuse. It's going to be fun.
The first one, a slightly more serious one, and one that we actually get asked quite a lot via email. Can foxes crossbreed with a dog? Do
you have 30 seconds, guys,
do you think a fox and a dog can have offspring? I'm being very British, I have tea.
I can think of so many answers to that as well, but some of them are not repeatable on YouTube.
Right, I'm blatantly caffeine addicted.
So what are the answers? Are we getting any answers back on this?
No, that's a definition of a species. Absolutely not. Very, very well done. Jenny,
Alice,
I think so.
Alice
is moving on. She wants to move on.
She's terrified
James,
that I'm going to
false.
say something I shouldn't.
Suzanne, no. Charlotte, myth. Jeanette's gone yes. Cheryl's gone true. Cara, I'm guessing no. So, got a bit of a mixed answer on there, and the answer to that one is no, they can't crossbreed. So, the main thing that enables species to be able to hybridize is a similar number of chromosome pairs. And if you look at a dog has 78, I believe, chromosome pairs, and a fox only has 32 or something like that. I've actually written this down, I still can't remember what it is. Yes, red fox does have 32 chromosome pairs, and the closer those numbers are, the more likely it is that they will be able to hybridize, and something that's so far apart, not a chance. So there was actually a study done in the 1980s, I believe, where they actually did get a fox to mate with a dog, but the offspring died pretty much immediately at that point. They will not biologically cross at all.
So when you say foxy lady, Laurie, that really is a myth. There's no such thing as a foxy lady. It's sad, in my younger days you used to say that.
I am not
really
even
foxy.
going to get into what's going through your head.
No, absolutely, don't do that. So let's go to another one.
Third one, another one for foxes.
I heard Abby's comment. What was Abby's comment then? I missed that.
Abby's comment was swiftly moving on.
Oh, was it? Okay.
The third one, cooked bones are dangerous to give foxes. Do you think that is true? So we also get this asked a lot as well for people who are asking what to feed foxes, whether they can give cooked meats with cooked bones in them. And there is a bit of a debate about whether that is dangerous or not.
In fact,
so
not only foxes, though, but any wild animal. It
Any
could be
wild
badgers
animal,
or anything.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Any kind of
cooked
wild
bones.
animal.
What are your answers, guys? I'm very excited to see
don't
the
think
results.
So, can't see a reason. Nicola, yes. There's a few trickling in. Karen's gone true. Doug. Depends what the fox does with it. I suppose that's kind of it.
Oh, Laurie,
Lee,
FXP1688
hello,
has done
Sven.
it again.
Hello, Sven. Hi, thanks for your help last week. We had an injured hedgehog over the weekend and nobody could help us. I called you, unfortunately, you could help us on Sunday. Visited the vet on Monday and she looked bright, but unfortunately she died 3 days later. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Sven. I'm glad that the team were able to help on that one. I'm sorry it wasn't a happier outcome on that, but thank you once again for your support. You are incredible as always, and I'm sure people in the chat will be loving you for that one.
Loving you,
Lots of
Sven,
people are
loving
going
you.
yes.
So
Lots
come
of
on,
people
what's
are
the
going
answer,
yes.
Laurie?
Few
Give us
people
the
have actually said the right answers. So cooked bones splinter, they shatter, and they form some really, really sharp little shards. And if a fox bites one of those, chews through it, swallows it, it can cause cuts to the esophagus, the stomach, the bowel. It's really, really not good. So definitely not at all. Do not feed a wild animal a cooked bone.
And on
all.
top
You
of
shouldn't
that,
even
actually,
feed dogs like that.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Dogs as well. Don't feed your dogs cooked bones, cooked chicken, cook anything, because those bones do... They just... I mean, interestingly enough, if you do have a chicken, if you're a meat eater, just crack a bone open and you'll see how sharp those pieces are. And if that goes down the esophagus, as Laurie said, or the stomach,
and a lot of
the other end,
things that do
nasty.
like that, any sort of damage in there is incredibly difficult to treat. Absolutely incredible. You cannot do it a lot of the time, especially if you get bowel perforations or anything like that. You can imagine everything that's in there that gets into your abdominal cavity can cause huge infections, peritonitis. It's really, really not good. There's not a lot of work you can do on that one.
Never feed cooked bones to any animal at all is the answer to that one then. Off we go.
So, the next one, and I'll leave this to you because you like this one, Simon. Owls can turn their head through 360 degrees.
I love this
Do you
one.
think that's true?
Let's just let people answer for a few seconds and then I will come back because everybody's going to get it wrong apart from me. I am superlative. So what's everybody saying, Laurie?
So we've actually got a slight delay on when we're actually saying this and when the chat is. It's about 10 seconds or so.
I want the scores
Liz
on the
says
doors,
true
Laurie.
on that one. Lisa says true. Louise, no, it's not true. James, nope. Oh, apparently his Dark Materials cover this fantastic book series, his Dark Materials. Al's gone no. DRG Skull Collector, true. NWS, no. Wendy, no. Gemma, nope. Diane, false. Donna's gone no. So what's the answer, Mr. Cal?
The answer is, for all you people who said no, the answer is actually, it's true. They can turn their heads around 360 degrees. Only once, because it kills them.
It will break their
So
neck.
the answer is, they can actually turn their heads. The owl's eyeballs are fixed in the head. They can't, whereas I can look at the screen here, and I can look over there to the window, or look over there towards Laurie. I can move my eyeballs within my head, and I can see various different places. Owls can't. They are absolutely fixed. So to see from there to there, they physically have to move their head to do it. And they can turn their head through 270 degrees approximately. And I always like to say, it is a lot, but I like to say yes, they can do it, because then everybody goes eee, and I say only once because it's gonna kill them, guys.
But to put it into context, 270 degrees for an owl. A human roughly has about 70 to 80 degrees of movement in their neck. So it's
I tried to do it. I tried to
do
do it with Laurie's head once, and he really screamed when I tried to turn his head round 200 degrees. Can't understand it at all.
My neck is one of the few things I haven't broken in my life. So
you will do soon, Laurie. We'll do a test on it. So, okay, that's that one. 270 degrees is all it can do, but I mean, it needs, because it has no eyeball movement at all, it has to move its head every single place to get. So, whereas we can twist our eyes probably another 40 or 50 degrees past where our head is, an owl can't. It's got to be looking directly at the object. Rather like Laurie, because Laurie's a bit of a night owl, so I hear.
So the next one, and the one that's actually the title of this video, which a few of you have been guessing before we actually went live. So a swan can break a man's arm. Do you think the whack from a swan can break a man's arm?
Or anybody's arm, actually. Say child or anybody. So
yeah,
can it break a bone? Can it break a
man with a capital M?
Break a human something, arm, leg, whatever? We're going to give you another 30 seconds, guys, and then the scores on the doors will be in.
Music.
Yeah, we should get that. See, you're not with
No,
it.
we get sued for that.
You haven't got your. Well, you could do something. You could do a sort of little clock ticking, Laurie, couldn't you? Clock ticking.
So Cheryl's gone yes. George has gone no. Ray yes. True from James. Al's gone no. I'm sure it can. Preston no. Gemma yes. Robin no. Jenny absolutely. Monique probably. Brian depends on where. Interesting way of doing that. Lee yes. What's the answer? You've been hit by enough of them.
Laurie and I will disagree slightly on this because it is technically possible that it could break a bone. So if you had your leg extended or your arm extended and it pushed it the wrong way, obviously that can break a bone or dislocate a joint. Normally, I mean, I've been hit by thousands of swans and I just laugh at it now because it's quite funny actually. It is quite hard, it hurts a bit, it's not horrendous, and 90% of the time, no, it won't break a bone. I have heard of it happening, but only third hand. I've never heard of it first hand, but I would suspect.
There are no official reports of broken bone.
I think possibly, I think we'd have to say that technically it's possible, especially if it was a young child. Maybe it could do something damage there, but it's more likely to dislocate a joint rather than actually break a bone mid-shaft.
The main thing you get with birds as well, because birds obviously have to take to the air, their bone structure is hollow. So they've got very thin, very hollow, very light bones. So if they hit you, the physics of that means they're actually more likely to break their own bone before they break yours. Human bones are very, very dense things. But as Simon said, if it does hit you in the wrong place, it catches you in the wrong place, or it trips you up or anything like that, then it may result in a broken bone. They're certainly not something you want to mess with. The bruises can be quite nasty. But yeah, I suppose it's a little bit of a tease because the answer is it depends.
Lucy's asked.
Oh, hang on, that was Abby. We need to see Abby. Abby can't talk unless we can see her. She's got to be on camera. What are you going to say, Abby?
Can the whack from a winged otter break a lorry arm?
Oh, well, that's definite.
It can't, but it can break my heart.
Yeah. Laurie actually has a very, very hollow bone structure in his head. So
I
yeah,
do. I have a wonderful medical condition called no brain whatsoever.
Yeah, anything can happen to Laurie. Anything hits him anywhere. Flying otter is very dangerous to Laurie, and he cowers at its very, very presence.
For those of you who don't get the reference here, I apologise massively. It's going to take forever to explain it. It was something in one of our old live streams where I proved beyond all doubt that I am an idiot. That is basically all that you need to know. So, the next one. Hedgehogs should be fed milk and mealworms. Now, a few of you will know this one, but what do you think? Please leave your guesses in the chat. And if you get it wrong, we'll send someone round. Correct.
The clock's ticking. We've had more than 4 seconds silence.
George, definitely no. Liz, no. Nicola's gone false.
No.
Monique, no, in capital letters. Ray's gone no, false. No milk.
One yes.
Oh, we've got one yes. Suzanne, no, never. Gemma, no. Wendy, absolutely not.
Oh, Diane, mealworms yes, milk no.
Okay. George, bad for their bones. Interesting. Emily, never. So, on that one, Simon, do you want to do it or do you want me to do it?
The answer is you can feed them milk, as long as it's hedgehog milk. You cannot feed human milk. It's not good for them. But babies, I mean,
human
adults.
Milk? You mean cow's milk?
Cow's milk. Yes.
This is
gone. The time. My brain has gone hollow, Laurie. It's gone hollow. No, cow's milk. No, an adult. It probably wouldn't do it too much damage, but it's not the fair thing. Like any wild animal, if you're going to feed a wild animal,
lactose
please
intolerant.
Try to feed a wild animal what it would eat in the wild. So don't ever try to give it some sort of diet which it wouldn't get in the wild. So cow's milk is a definite no. As I said on ITV television one day.
Yeah, you said don't feed it milk or water.
Don't fill them
on a live TV.
They get very dehydrated.
On a heat lamp.
They get dehydrated, but you can't feed them milk or water. And I had to correct that later on. That was very embarrassing from me.
The correct answer for both of those is actually no to both. So hedgehogs are lactose intolerant. If you give them milk, whilst they will happily drink it, like a lot of other animals will, it will give them rampant diarrhea, and that will result in huge dehydration. And we see a lot of the time when they can't make it out the other side of that one. They get so dehydrated, it does actually end up with them dying. So
what are you going to
please
say about
avoid
mealworms,
milk.
Laurie? What are you going to say about
Mealworms
mealworms?
are
I'm
an
going to leave this to
interesting one.
Laurie because
So
we're going to have an argument in a
mealworms
minute.
are a debatable thing. It's still being debated at the moment. The main thing is the odd few won't have any impact whatsoever. The danger comes when you feed exclusively or predominantly mealworms. So mealworms to a hedgehog are like fast food to you and I. It's really, really bad for them.
So did you mean
it.
fast food, Laurie, or fast food?
No, I mean fast food. I'm from the north and I'm proud of it.
Okay, just checking.
So it's almost like a snack. They will choose that over something that's a lot better for them. And mealworms actually don't have that much nutrition in them in general. They have to eat a lot to actually get that nutrition. And the issue is mealworms cause a severe issue with the calcium-potassium balance in the hedgehog. And the problem is, if you add too much potassium, as you do with a mealworm, it robs the bone structure of calcium. And that then results in what's called metabolic bone disease, which is where the bones become really bendy, really flexible, they lose their rigidity, and we've seen several that have been fed on mealworms where the bones literally are cupped like that. And it causes severe issues with walking and moving. They're unable to find food, they're unable to mate, they're unable to even move in certain cases. So please avoid mealworms, certainly as a predominant diet. I know Simon's going to say the odd few are okay, but if you do feed hedgehogs in your garden, please try and keep them to just a really rare thing, just sprinkle. Dog or cat food, wet dog or cat food with biscuits is
biscuits are important. Biscuits clean the teeth, guys. You've got to remember, if everything eats a soft dart all the way through, the teeth don't get the crunch they need to get all the plaque off them, so it's very important. But an answer like that from Laurie always gives me metabolic brain disease because it's so long and technical. I got lost on about the second sentence, but there we are. That's not unusual.
That's kind of what I studied.
Absolutely.
Just quickly, Wendy asked.
Oh, let's see her face, Laurie. She can't talk unless we can see her.
Honestly.
Go on.
Wendy asked in the chat, can you give cats milk or lacto-free milk? I think we should clear that up.
You can give hedgehogs a milk. We give a milk that we get specially made by a manufacturer which is designed for hedgehogs. Whether we can give lactose-free or whatever, something I'd need to check. You probably can, but in very small quantities.
To be honest, a lot of the milks that you can buy off the shelf, it cannot be worked out whether they have the appropriate nutritional balance and the appropriate lack of lactose or anything like that in there. So we would always say, if you are going to give something to hedgehogs, please only make it water. So we tend to go shallow bowl of water, just so that they can't drown in it or anything like that. Keep it clean, keep it topped up, and we tend to say just go for that. Don't try and go for any milks, just in case something is wrong. You might be well-meaning with it, but they'll be perfectly fine just on the water as well.
I mean, young animals need milk, but they need the right milk. When they get slightly older, they can have other things. Water obviously is one thing. There is a great product out there called Oralade, which we use gallons and gallons of, and thanks to Oralade, they're so generous to us that we actually get our Oralade. I shouldn't say this for nothing, because you'll get about 1 million requests now for Oralade. But it's a great product. It rehydrates animals very quickly, but they've got to be meat eaters, because Oralade does have a meat base in it, so this is for meat
like
eaters.
Chicken.
And it's very useful. Laurie has it as chicken soup. Chicken consomme, that's why Laurie looks like a bit like a hedgehog, really. But no, it's a great product. So if anybody wants to buy Oralade, I'm sure it's available on various websites. If you don't find a website, then give us a call and we'll give you the telephone number of the company. Okay, they come in and see you, Laurie. My dogs come and see you. They don't come and see me.
Hi,
Look,
Toby.
Look.
Toby. So that's Bobby with Abby.
Okay,
and Toby's down with me in the dark.
I'm going to shake my biscuit pot now. Look, my biscuit pot. Doggies, Daddy loves you. Do you love Daddy? They don't give a monkey's, Laurie.
The answer is quite clearly no.
They don't love me at all.
Oh, Bobby's going.
Oh, Laurie's realised that there's biscuits. Is he coming in?
Why are you calling your dog me? That says a lot.
Oh, here he comes. I've got to move my camera now. So look, here's Bobby.
Maybe he's not interested.
Look how much messier your office is than ours.
Yeah, mine's... Look, because it's YouTube, Bobby's going to get 2 biscuits and he's very excited. They are my baby. No more, because she'll get even fatter than Daddy. Yeah. Sorry,
The guy
Daddy.
who's basically 2-dimensional.
Yeah, I wish.
Anyway, more facts on this one. So the next one is cutting a worm in half gives 2 worms. Do you think that is true? If you think that, please let us know in the comments. So if you cut a worm in half, does it give 2 worms, only 1 worm, or no worms at all?
I'm too busy showing my dog to the general public.
Everyone is saying hello. Everyone is saying hello.
My Bobby Boo. Bobby, look up at Daddy.
Marianne's saying that sheer
Look up
bribery.
at Daddy.
I do
Look
agree.
at that. Look
the
at
only
that.
reason they like
Yeah. Love my daddy. Love. Now,
Toby's on his way in.
Bobby is actually a rescue. He came to us. We think he was about 3 years old when he came to us, but he was very, very scared. Every now and then you can drop something and he hits the floor. So he's still a bit nervous, but he's doing so much better now. And he loves me.
Your camera is very far off.
I give him oh, well, it's near enough, Laurie, for me. I'm so wrinkly. Who's going to notice the difference? So, yeah, sorry, where we got to, that completely put me off everything then. My Bobby Boo banana.
Cutting a worm in half gives 2 worms. Donna said yes, Ray said yes, Jeanette also said yes, Cheryl said yes. 1 worm from a lot of you guys on YouTube. Dragon, you end it with 2 dead halves of a worm. Monique's gone no. Armpit Foot, who chops a worm in half? That's actually a very good point. Footstand Flyer, you'll end up with a criminal charge. I like where this conversation's going. Depends where you cut it, I guess. 1 dead worm, no, yes. Interesting set of answers in this. The answer is actually no. So a worm who is cut in half, the head end can regrow a new tail, certainly an earthworm anyway, but the tail end will die. It will move around for a bit just because there's a massive burst of electrical energy that passes through the nervous system, but that one will die. There is only one species that actually will do this. It's called a planarian flatworm, and that can actually completely regrow itself entirely from 1/300th of its body size. 1/300th can regenerate an entire worm, and that doesn't have to be the head.
This is why Laurie is still alive today. He has regenerated 3,924 times.
Interestingly, I'm going to get on a marine biology rant here.
I really like that you've gone blurred, actually, Laurie. You've gone very blurred.
I love
better
blurred.
I love it when you go blurred.
There are several shellfish and a couple of lobsters actually that are technically immortal, as well. When they get old enough, they reduce to their larval stage and start again. It's remarkable.
This is why Laurie spent all these years doing this incredibly intense and difficult degree in something that he's never pursued ever again. So poor mummy and daddy, your poor mummy and daddy spent all that money getting you through university.
I was a scuba instructor for a while. I could point things out.
It's just, you know, all that money spent on you, Laurie, and you've ended up working
I paid it.
With
I've
me.
got the debt. I never look at the statements. It's terrifying.
Yeah, but you're in debt to me as well. We haven't even started to calculate the amount of money you owe me.
Moving on.
Swiftly. Swiftly moving on.
The next one, back to swans and geese for this one. Is it true that swans or geese can die from a broken heart?
Only I can die from a broken heart when Laurie's nasty to me. I'd just like to put that in there. Put it out amongst you.
I'm never nasty to you when there's video proof.
No, but when the video's off, you're absolutely vile to me, like Jim used to be. Jim was so polite when he started, and in the end he was so horrible to me that I had to fire him. Or did he leave?
No, he left. Remember. Like 20 years ago.
That was a long time ago, when I was young and had hair, and I didn't have a wrinkly neck. Go on.
So a lot of people are saying true for this one, actually. A lot of yeses. Mega Tweet's gone no. Charlotte, I've heard that it's true. I think swans can. Yes, many pair for life. Absolutely.
Give us your answer, Laurie Brayley. Now is the time to come clean, Laurie Brayley.
So, yes, they can. Science isn't really sure why. They think it's related to stress or something like that. But yes, if a swan goes through a particularly traumatic event, there was quite a famous case of a female where a group of kids sadly came in and kicked 7 bells out of her nest and destroyed all of her eggs. She came back to that, and within 24 hours she slumped over dead on top of it, which is a very, very sad story. But there have been several studies into this, and it does seem, yes, they can die of a broken heart. We're not sure why, but yes, which is quite interesting. I didn't really know that one before that one. I researched it at 3 o'clock in the morning whilst I was in bed.
I'm still slightly silly, but I think they can get very upset, and I think they remember.
They're
and I
not
think
sure
they
why.
certainly
It's
make
certainly
life.
not a broken heart. It will be a
But
stress,
whether-
almost like catch myopathy that you get in roe deer. It will be something that's stress related that results in the body shutting down. Would be my guess. But
It's quite a wonder
yes.
on that basis, Laurie. It's quite a wonder that I haven't died yet with all the stress that Laurie puts me through. I mean, you think of the stress I take
Well,
every
pot kettle
day.
black.
Are you going to say, if you'd been very quick then, Laurie, you would have said, but you haven't got a heart, Simon. So you're a bit slow, Laurie, on that one.
Oh,
you
no,
missed your,
everyone
you missed your
knows that. You
No,
don't
you
need to
missed
point
your
out the obvious.
opportunity. No, you missed your opportunity. You're trying to
You
backtrack.
put
now.
your heart into wildlife phase. There you go. That's
I
the
put my
political
heart
answer.
into my bottom. My heart
Next
is in my
one.
bottom.
Back to foxes on this one, which is foxes kill cats, dogs, children, another. Foxes can kill cats, dogs, anything like that. Do you think that is true?
Answers on a postcard, as yet again you have
Please
30
don't. It will take
seconds
far too long to get
come
it.
back with your answers, people. 30 seconds. The clock is ticking. Da da
Oh,
da da da.
interesting
da,
enough,
da,
as we're
da,
getting some of
da.
the answers, Monika just said the medical term for it is Takotsubo cardiomyopathy is the technical term at that point, which is quite interesting. Broken heart syndrome. Lucy's just said, I think they totally give up on eating and drinking, which is an interesting way of looking at it as well.
Who's that? Who's that Lucy woman? I don't know that Lucy woman.
You know that Lucy woman very well.
I don't remember her. No, she deserted us. That's why I died of a. That's why I'm so wrinkly now. Because Lucy left us, and this is my broken heart. It's my wrinkly neck. It's her fault.
That's
So
not where the heart is. That's why you're not a vet.
She should feel really guilty at leaving us in the lurch with all these problems to go off and have a life. So Lucy Kells, bye-bye. Go on, any more answers?
So, there's actually a bit of a mix on there. Most people are saying, certainly anyone with cats is saying that their cat would easily win in a fight with the fox. And to be honest, that is true. So, foxes, it's debatable. There'll always be the odd case, but in general, no. Foxes, like all predatory animals, will not try and pick a fight with something that they can't win. Or something that they're potentially going to get injured, they will just run away. If you look on YouTube, you see many videos of dogs or cats disturbing foxes, and the fox just runs away. They're incredibly timid animals. There have been reports of foxes found with cats in their mouth, and a lot of those times, sadly, the fox is actually just scavenging an animal that has been run over by a car or something like that. It is very unlikely. We can't say impossible, but very unlikely that a dog would attack and even injure, let alone kill, a cat, a dog, or anything along those lines.
Do you know why I get very cross with Laurie and fed up with him and pissed off with him? It's because he always gives the answer. I had that answer so lined up in my head to come back with. And Laurie just parrots it out because he's learnt it from me. All this work I've done, I'm just giving away for nothing. I could have answered that, Laurie. I could have done it. I could have had my little bit in there. But no, Brayley takes the soup, the strawberry, the eclair, whatever.
What
I don't know what I'm
are
talking
you on about?
I've no idea what I'm on about. I think I need another drink.
No, I think you've had enough.
So yeah, I mean, we have heard, as Laurie said, I've seen, and people have sent us videos quite regularly of a cat eating in a bowl. The fox comes up, Foxy's cat runs away, or the fox is eating the bowl, the cat comes along and the fox legs it. It's far more common. We have never had any proven case of a fox taking a dog or a cat or a baby or whatever you want, and you know, taking it and eating it. I don't think it's true. I don't think it's ever happened, and I've never seen a video that shows that. So I think foxes are timid, and all these sort of people who do ring up and say, oh, the fox savaged my baby. I mean, guys, to be honest, if a fox wanted to savage your baby would not be alive. If it's interested because your baby smells of milk or something like that, then there's a possibility that it came up and was very nosy. They love to play. One thing foxes love is old shoes. We had one chap ring us up a few years ago, livid, because this fox came to his doorstep every night and took a shoe. Never took a pair, just took one. Just took one. And he got really fed up with it. But I mean, the fox loves to play. They love to be inquisitive. They love all sorts of games. and that's all they're doing. They're playing. They're just taking it. If your fox bites you, and I've been bitten by a fox, I think Laurie has once or twice as well. If they bite you, you know it, guys. It ain't just going to leave you a little bit of a tooth mark. It's going to take a great hunk out of
This hand, I can't feel at all.
Laurie,
because of a fox
just
bite.
be careful of this comment, because I could take
Oh,
this
stop
so much
being
further.
a child.
I could take it so much further.
Yes, I got bitten right there, and it went straight through, right onto my knuckle bone, and through this side as well, and it damaged the nerves on my hand, and I actually can't feel that part of my hand at all. So they are quite bad if you do get bitten by a fox. It was entirely my own fault, not the fox's fault at all. But if you do get bitten, they can do a lot of damage. It's not just a simple nip. But bear in mind, they don't have hands, the same way that many animals do. They will investigate things just with a little bite. Same thing with shark attacks.
Hang on, stop there. They don't have hands like many animals do.
No, they
Could
don't
you
have
just
hands.
qualify?
Stop.
No, no. It flowed on, Laurie. This is like your flying otter, isn't it? This is like the flying otter. I bet Abby's laughing beside
why
you.
She has to babysit such children.
Well, there you are. So foxes don't have hands, people. Seriously, if you do get bitten by a fox, even just nip because you've got it in its way or it's playing, whatever, do wash your hands very, very thoroughly. And if you do get sort of a bit of reddening occurring over a day, to be honest, you should just go to your doctor and get some antibiotics, because they do get infections on their teeth. I mean, if Laurie bites you, go straight to A&E, because the infection he's got in his teeth is enormous.
Moving on.
Swiftly.
Another one with foxes. So the screaming of a fox at night is foxes mating. Do you think that is true? If you hear a fox scream, it's because two foxes are mating. Do you think that is true?
What happens if you shut a fox's tail in your door by mistake? Does it scream then, Laurie?
Then it probably would turn around and try and tear your face off, let's be honest.
So
I would if you shut me in the door, which you've tried.
I've tried to many times. I've tried to shut you in the door so many times.
You almost run me over a few times.
Yeah, I've done that as well. He won't die. He won't go. I cannot get him. Go on, what are the answers then, Laurie? What have we got?
Ray's going yes, Doug's going no, James true, nope from Gemma, Anita says yes, false. Is it them courting, not mating specifically? Interesting take. Monique could be calling its mate, could be an alarm bark. James, nope, probably arguing. So, answer to that is not necessarily. So foxes actually have, I believe, 27, 28 different calls. The scream that you do hear, it's officially called the Vixen scream, but it's not predominantly, well, it is predominantly used by vixens, but not exclusively used by vixens. It's usually a call between mates, so a female will be advertising her presence, or if they've already paired up, will be wondering where her mate is.
That's why Alana howls at night.
Oh, you are going to die later. It's usually answered with a sort of whoop 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 sort of call from the dog fox, in the same way that the twit-two and tawny owls is actually the male and the female speaking to each other. But no, it does not mean that two foxes are mating if you do hear that scream. Actually, during that, it's very unlikely you'll hear anything at all. It's a communication call. It's used predominantly in the breeding season, but also out of that as well. So no, that one is actually false. The best term I've ever heard for fox sounds is the geckering, which is when they fight. And it's a wonderful word, geckering. I absolutely love the word. Now I'm going completely off on a tangent here.
You are. I'm going to stop you now because A, we're getting short on time, and we did miss one thing earlier on, and I've just flicked my screen so it's on the right screen, so you can flick on to this picture now. We very seldom get roe deer in at the centre here. This is a young roe deer. It came into us the other day. The story behind it is we went to see one roe deer, which was this one. Without their mum, they get very weak, they get very lethargic, they get very dehydrated. This one had a bit of fight in it, so we brought him home. But the interesting bit of this story is that we then got called out an hour later to another roe deer, a young roe deer, which was only literally, I don't know, Laurie, what, 300-400 yards away in somebody else's garden?
Literally, pretty much on the opposite side of the road.
Opposite side of the road. And this one had been scouring like crazy. It was in a much weaker state. It couldn't stand. Sadly, that one we had to PTS, but we didn't want to give up with this one. So he brought it in, and it's sitting there. It's eating its way through all my roses. I have not told my girlfriend this yet because I keep cutting off bits of her roses, and she's going to get really pissed off about that. But he's eating well at the moment. With roe deer, I hate having roe deer in because they've got such beautiful faces. I love them to bits. And you get one that's got looks at you with those great big ethereal eyes, and they go and die on you. I'm hoping this one's going to make it. We are feeding it all sorts of, well, as I say, roses, and Jacob went down to Waitrose, not to Waitrose, to Tesco's today, get lots of herbs. So it's getting lots of browse, which is what it needs. They would stay with their mum for up to 15 months, a young roe deer. They wouldn't be necessarily drinking milk. They might take the odd bit of milk from mum. But we think it's one of a pair, and the lady we went to the second time said there were these two baby deer with the mum in the field, and she hadn't seen the mum for 3 weeks. So I suspect, sadly, that mum's met an unfortunate end, and these roe deer, because they're not with their mum, have gone downhill very quickly. This one we are determined to get back. We're hoping it's going to make it. It's eating us out of house and home on brambles, herbs, all sorts of things. So please, guys, keep your fingers crossed for this little chap. He's beautiful. Like all roe deer, they're very, very pretty. And so just say a prayer tonight for this little roe deer. Look, he's sitting there chewing the cud at the moment. He's had lots to eat, and feeling very guilty because it's all my roses gone.
I was going to say, it's deeply enjoying all of the
deeply enjoying my roses. He's a lovely little chap. So keep your fingers crossed. A few prayers tonight would be wonderful, guys. Thank you very much.
Preston is just asked, actually, is it true that roe deer die of stress often? Yes. So roe deer get something called catch myopathy, which is effectively a stress-related cell death. Everything just starts to shut down. And if you handle a roe deer for too much, or you keep it in captivity for too long, once they get it, it is fatal. There is nothing you can do about it. You can start to, I believe you can start to hear it in the heart rhythm. You know a bit more about this, Simon.
Yeah. You do
but once they do get it, that's it. They're going. So we really have to be careful. Most of the time, if we can deal with them on site, we will. If we can release them on site, we will. It's very, very rare that we bring them back just because of the risk of that. But hopefully
we're trying.
This one won't be here for too much longer.
Very hard. Laurie, we're getting towards the end now. I want to mention one thing, because I know it wasn't on the agenda, but it's so important to me. We've got Halloween coming up imminently. We've got bonfire night imminently, plus about 5 days. Please, if you have fireworks, try to buy silent fireworks if you haven't already bought them. Fireworks are very stressing to wildlife. Fireworks anyway put out all these bits of stuff, so if you have a firework display, pick up all the bits the next morning, please. And if you have a bonfire, the most important thing of all, animals will look at a bonfire, they think it's wonderful, we'll go and hibernate in there this winter, and we'll go and get nice and warm in the middle of it. You light the bonfire and then you get roasted animal. So if you can, try and turn your bonfire over the day you're going to use it, so you just move it a few feet so anything in it can have a chance to get out. If you do want to build a big bonfire next year, just put a very small mesh fence all the way around it before you start building it, because that will stop animals going in as well. Please be conscious of wildlife, and please know that wildlife is terrified by these fireworks, and also pets can get terrified by the bangs of fireworks as well. So have a little bit of thought, have a little bit of heart. These big, I don't know what they're called, these Chinese balloons that people put up.
Sky lanterns.
That's it, they're the ones. Please don't use those, because they come down and strangle all sorts of animals with the bits of string they have and the stuff they're made of. A little bit of thought for the planet would go a long way. We're just going into COP26 next week, which is quite a big thing. I just hope people, governments particularly and corporates, take more notice of it than they ever have before. They all pay lip service for it. I'm not going to get too political now, but it is so important that we protect this planet. We are trying to do our little bit, and we have IDOC. If I'm sure you've all heard me talk about IDOC before. We can't all cure the planet. None of us are that good. But if we could just do a little bit, if we all did one thing a day in the UK, that'd be 24 billion actions. Actually, we can make a difference. Surrey County Council have very kindly joined with us on our IDOT campaign, and they're going to run it for their Green Futures campaign. So, you know, if everybody did one small action a day, if you just had your shower or your bath for 5 minutes less, you'd use about half the water you would have otherwise done. You have your bath 1 centimetre lower than you had it last night, that would save about 10 litres of water. All these little things add up to big things. We all think we can't make a difference. You know, it's just ridiculous. We can't cure the planet. But if everybody did something small, then it would begin to make some difference. With our new centre we're building at the moment, it will make a small difference. It's our IDOT, and it's our bit we can do for the planet. Laurie, I'm going to get off my soapbox before you get really, really cross with me, and everybody else does too.
No, you know I agree with the IDOT thing. So, we've got a few more of these to get through before we sign off for tonight. So the next one, a few of you have been asking that actually in the chats. So the next one is picking up a baby bird will cause the mother to abandon it. Is that one true or false? Now this is an interesting one because there are two sides, or, well, initially two sides to this argument. But
Right,
do
now,
you think?
While everybody's thinking about that, we've got to make this the last one, Laurie, because you insisted at the beginning of this session that we had to get through the mentions at the end. And you're going to have 3 minutes to do every single mention. You're going to speak fast.
I have another
and
two
very
that I
clear.
definitely have to get through, but we'll try and get through
Go on.
those
So
quite.
let's crack the answer to this
So,
one right
no,
now,
false,
guys.
No, false, false, false. Marianne's gone true. Use gloves, false, false, no. What's the answer, Simon?
The answer is you should always wear gloves anyway, whatever animal you pick up, because it's always just, it's for your safety, for health reasons and for every other reason. A bird is not so intent on scent as an animal is. So my answer would be, whatever you pick up, always wear a pair of gloves of some sort because it's far better for you and for the animal. But for a bird, it's not as important as if you pick up a baby animal, a deer or a fox or a hedgehog when they're very tiny. That is vital because an animal will take exception to it.
The main thing, birds tend not to rely on their sense of smell. They don't have a particularly good sense of smell. So, to be honest, they won't know any difference. If you do get mammals, as Simon was saying, with deer, with foxes, with hedgehogs, they rely on their sense of smell a lot more, and at that point you then start to get much more of a risk. The main thing to think about with this is try and mitigate any risk whatsoever. Even if it's absolutely fine, it's always worth sticking a pair of gloves on. To be honest, you should never be touching a baby bird anyway. But if you do,
any animal,
you should,
any animal at all.
any animal, yeah. But you should just stick one on just in case. You never know what they've got. If they've got feather mites or anything like that, trust me, you don't want those.
And I never, to be honest,
it
guys,
is
I never
false.
touch Laurie without a pair of gloves on. It would scare me far too much. I might get some awful disease. Awful.
Moving
awful.
on, can I just say, people in the comments are already pointing out that you said it can be a bird or an animal.
Okay, a bird or an animal. That was a
Failing
slight.
to remember the.
That was a bit like the flying otter. It was similar to the flying
That's
otter, but
your
not
version.
as bad as the flying otter.
That's going to be a T-shirt.
So a mammal or a bird. An animal is a bird and a mammal. So there we are. Laurie, you've got 2 minutes to get your points out.
The next
No
one.
more myths. We're
Can
going to go on to myth
foxes-
next. We're going to do myth next week, Laurie. Don't panic, Laurie. Keep calm. You've got
No.
2 minutes to get all these points out that you were
Yep,
so
just
keen.
one more. I've been told I need to get this one in. So, can foxes give mange to dogs? Now, we are rushed for time on this one, so we won't ask in the chat on there, but it is entirely true. So, the mange mite that you get in foxes, which is Sarcoptes scabiei var canidae, I believe, or something like that, it's the canine version, affects both foxes and dogs, and they can cross-transmit there. Though, to be honest, if your dog is up to date on their flea treatments on there as well, they will usually be covered against mange because most of the things that treat fleas, certainly if it's a good flea treatment, will also treat the mange mites as well. So whilst yes, it is technically cross-transmissible, if your dog is up to date on their meds and everything like that, you are worming and doing flea treatment once a month as is recommended, then they will be absolutely fine. But we do get a lot of people.
And foxes
asking
can also
that
give mange to us. When
Yes.
we get it,
We
it's
get it
called
scabies.
scabies. It's not called mange. It's exactly the same thing. So we get it, and many of us had. I mean, Laurie gets it regularly, but
I've
doesn't
never
tell
had
his
it.
girlfriend. Oh yeah, that's what he
I've
says to
never
his
had
girlfriend.
it.
Never
I've
had
never
it.
had that or
Never had it.
ringworm or any of those.
So yes, we can get mange. It's called scabies. So when you say kind of mange kill a fox, you know, you've got to, when you get a fox with mange in, you've got to put it to sleep so it won't get better. That's rubbish. We can get them better. We get better when we get scabies. It's just damned annoying to get it. It makes you itch like crazy anyway. So yes, the answer is if your dog's up to date on all its flea treatments, fine. I mean, I've had dogs here all my life, and obviously they're right next to all the foxes and all the animals. And never so far, I'm touching wood like crazy now, never so far
Poor Toby.
have any of my dogs got mange. So So there we are. Laurie, you've got 1 minute to sign off with all
the other
these
one,
points.
someone just asked, are there any Halloween themed questions? So the Halloween myth that usually goes around is once you're finished with your pumpkin, leave it out for wildlife because squirrels, foxes, things like that love them. Now that is true. Squirrels and foxes will love them, but they have quite a laxative effect for hedgehogs. And it can cause the same thing with milk. It can cause diarrhea, dehydration, a lot of things. So if you are going to leave your pumpkin out, please we just ask if you can keep it off the ground. So put it up on a bird table or a bench or something like that so hedgehogs can't get to it. Then it can be enjoyed by the animals that will like it and won't cause any damage to our little spiky friends.
A note to self, give Laurie lots of pumpkin in his food without him realising it, because it'll give me a laugh. Go on, you've got your other points. You've got more points. You've got bat adoptions.
Yes, so before we go as well, a few of you have been wondering when things like our calendars and Christmas cards and everything like that's in stock. I'm sorry I used the Christmas word in October. I usually don't think it's Christmas until December the 26th. But we do have things available now. So these are our brand new Christmas cards for this year. They're actually hand drawn by a lovely lady called Pam, who has done this exclusively for us. So each one will have 8 cards in, so 2 of each design. That's a fox, a badger, a grey squirrel and a mute swan. If you want to get your hands on one of those, if you head over to our website, which is www.wildlifeaid.org.uk/shop, they'll all be on there. They're one of the featured products. The other featured product that a few of you have been asking for is this, which is our 2022 calendar. So
no, we can't, Laurie, we can't publicise that. Laurie, I will not have your personal pictures.
It's not my personal work.
Who
took
these?
That is Abby.
Abby,
I'll
have
the
Abby's.
main cover on that is an Abby photo.
That's fantastic.
So you can
I'll
jump
take
off
that.
high horse.
I'll take that one. But any of Laurie's pictures, just put a cross through the page. Ignore that month, guys. No, Abby and Laurie have done an amazing job with such fantastic pictures. They are really stunning. So please help us. We have only got a limited number. So if you don't buy them quick, guys, you could well lose out. We're still talking. I know this wasn't on the list now, but Laurie's still talking about his book he's going to do. He's still talking about it, guys.
I am actually doing
18 months down the line.
I am doing it.
You said that 18 months ago, Laurie. So
I've
there is
been
going to
working
be
on it now, and it's terrifying.
There is going to be a book out at some point
an
from Laurie.
incredible
So do that.
perfectionist
But
with stuff.
calendars, really, please buy them, guys. We haven't got that many. Christmas cards, please buy as well. They're stunning. Anything else you want to get out quickly before we go? Because we're now running over time, Mr. Brady.
No, it's the only other thing. A few of you have been asking for merchandise as well, and this will be growing. A few of you do know about this, but we've actually partnered up with T-Mill as well, and we have a whole range of new shirts. So that's Fox, a Badger, and a Hedgehog. That range will be growing on there. So if you did want any of those, or you had any ideas, or even if you had a design that you wanted to submit, we can actually put designs into these. We have, I believe it's www.wildlifeaidshop.co.uk is the answer for that. But Abby will leave that in the comments on there.
Laurie,
just royally chucked her under the bus there.
Laurie, I'm very upset because they didn't ask me to be a model for any of those T-shirts. I can't understand why they didn't ring me
I'm
up
glad.
and say, would you come
those
and
are
model one of
actually
these?
shots that we were sent from T-Mill, so I'm
What,
glad you got
how
out
could
of
they?
the,
I'm going to ring them
you have
tomorrow.
to model.
I'm ringing them tomorrow. That's it. If they don't use me as one of the
I have
central
never
models.
once seen you in a T-shirt. I
Very
don't
true.
think you own a single T-shirt.
I used to when I was
you either
very
own a
young
suit or
and
what you're wearing now.
didn't have wrinkly skin. I used to wear T-shirts. Now I've got wrinkly skin. I wear not T-shirts. Laurie, come on, you've got to sign off. It's your sign off tonight.
Yes.
I'm going to go to
Few
sleep.
people
We're
are
off.
saying,
We've gone.
can we purchase from the US worldwide? Yes, you can indeed. We do have full international shipping on there. It will obviously take a bit longer, so please leave a bit of time if you're trying to get it for a specific date. But the reception team will do their best to try and get it out as soon as possible. And on that one, we are running over, and a few people are saying that they're leaving to watch Autumn Watch. So a whole lot of people are leaving you for Chris Packham.
I'm not going to say any of that. I'm not saying anything in fear of incrimination.
I'm actually quite happy with that because the Autumn Watch team shared one of my photos the other day and it was a complete surprise, and my Instagram has just blown up into ridiculous proportions as a result.
You're just
So
a
thank you
tart,
for sharing
Brady.
that.
You're just a total tart.
I am. And on the news that I'm a complete and utter tart, it is time to sign off once again. So thank you so much, guys, as always, for all of your support or your questions or your comments or your donations. We cannot do this without you. We rely entirely on public support, and you guys are the only reasons we can do what we do. So thank you to every single member, every single commenter, every single supporter on YouTube, even our volunteers, our vets, rescuers, receptionists that are all tuned in. You are vital and a huge part of this. So thank you so much. And we will see you on November the 24th when we will be back waffling at you for another hour.
Guys, thank you so much. Lovely to see you. See you in a month. Bye bye.